Here's Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. Big Sky Media Days begin tomorrow. So as such, we have everything you need to know to get ready today. Hi, how are you? It is Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Outstanding to be with you on this very fine Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for letting us ride along with you on this Wednesday. If you would like to give us a call, you can do that, 361-3688. All guests join us via the Rankish Brothers RV phone line. And again, 361-3688. You can text that line as well. Send us, a little message on the text machine there, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say as we go through this stuff. And I expect some interaction on here because we're going to do a bunch of polling, both individuals, players, positionally, conference-wide, and team-wide for the Big Sky for this forthcoming, what we hope is a forthcoming football season. Today we're not even going to reference, we're not going to sit here and start talking about, well, we don't know if we know that we don't know whether there's going to be a season. Today, we're just going to pretend like there's going to be a season, and we're just going to go forward and have some fun with some preseason football stuff today from the Big Sky Conference.
And let's talk about just briefly what happened today.
Well, hold on.
We've done nothing but just quickly. We've done nothing but cancellations. And the Southland said today they have all intentions of playing, and the Southern Conference said we are playing.
Okay.
So there's two. We were 0 for 5. Now we got 2 in, and so those are teams. And the Southern playing is impactful because James Madison wants to make this independent schedule. Well, James Madison has way more regional teams in the Southern than they do in their own conference.
In Virginia, they're going to be a lot closer to some of the SoCon teams than they are going to be.
And they already had non-conference games with 2 SoCon teams on their schedule already, so they can keep those games. Yep. So those are games that are on the schedule that'll stay on the schedule. That's the first time we've had confirmation of that yet.
That is good news. If you would like to listen live on the World Wide Web, you go to our website, 1029ESPN.com. You stream the show there. Thanks to Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. In the show today, we're going to start off with doing team stuff, okay? You're going to look at the polling, the way that Colter voted in the polls. I also have my own personal rankings for the top end of this, the top 5-6 teams in the Big Sky Conference. And going through this earlier today, one thing stood out to me that I think is going to be very different this season than it was last season. So we'll get to that. It's also Wednesday. So we got wings for you from the Desperado Sports Tavern. I got some NFL questions. Colton, what do you got? College football? Like FBS level college football?
So everybody that's a loyal listener to the show knows that I stay up really late.
Yes.
And usually ruminate on a variety of thoughts and or consume a variety of less than
healthy options.
Not healthy. I think it is healthy to learn. I just don't necessarily know if watching like doomsday documentaries before bed is the greatest thing.
I was talking about pizza.
Yeah.
When you said consume, I thought we were talking
about
food.
No. I've been actually really good about that lately. That's good. I kicked my late night eating habit, which is good for me.
Good.
But I fell down this. I watched this whole Oliver Stone, the Untold History of the United States, and then I watched this other one, America's Untold Secrets.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm like having nightmares about conspiracy theories.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
I got to get back to what makes me happy. So I watched Basketball Love Story, which is unbelievable. I know I've mentioned on the show before. If you want something that makes you happy, this is such brilliant filmmaking. It's basically like 150 documentaries weaved into 100 episodes, and they're little 8 to 18 minute vignettes, but they're just epic. They're so good. It's so awesome. But then last night I finished that. And so then last night I dove into the College Football 150. It's the 150th anniversary of college football last season.
Yes.
And so I started watching the long ESPN miniseries on that. And so my questions are about the history of college football, mainly when it pertains to national championships over the last 20 years. So we're not going to go all the way back to Amos Alonzo.
18 something?
No, we're not going back to Amos Alonzo Stagg. Learned all about him last night. He was the first tenured coach in college football. People were aghast that you would pay a college football coach when Amos Alonzo Stagg started getting paid. No, but this is just all about the last 20 years. So you only have to dig into your recent memory for the callers.
The 2000s to present. All right, very good. So we will have some Wing It Wednesday for you tomorrow. It's opening day, Major League Baseball. That should make you happy, Coulter. I know that it has yet to take an emotional effect.
Well, I will say that I have one thing that makes me happy, and that is the proliferation of videos of Astros getting thrown at on Twitter. It's already happening, and they haven't even had officially opening day.
Is that right?
I will say that I think that the ethics of baseball need to maintain, even though I think these guys deserve to get drilled.
Well, I mean,
throw it right in the lower.
Yeah, you got to go low. You got to go. I
mean, yesterday they drilled 3 Astros guys. The first 2 just fine. Hit them right in the elbow guard. One was in the shoulder. Okay, turn it, get it, hit it, take your base. Everybody's cool. Nobody's staring anybody down. The third one, I mean, he threw it at George Springer's chin, and I know George Springer's going to be the guy that's going to get it almost as much as anybody. Him and Altuve, but you can't kill the guy.
No,
just hit him in the shoulder.
Just inflict a little bit of flesh pain. What do they call that? Flesh? I don't know. Tissue, flesh tissue, something like that. I guess soft tissue. Don't worry about me. Just quit my doctor path early on. Coulter, let's talk about the Big Sky Conference.
I can't wait.
Football season, okay? The football season is coming for the next 2 hours. We are deciding that the football season is on its way, and that is going to stand for the Big Sky Conference. Tom Wistersill will take the podium tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. He will deliver a State of the Conference a speech of some sort, and then it will be 2 days of football media that the coaches from all 13 schools and then one player representative from all 13 schools as well will be answering questions. They got a whole lineup of how this is going to go. It's happening online on Pluto Television, on streaming, I believe on streaming as well. So we will try and get a full handle on how all of that is going, and then get back to you tomorrow, which we'll go through a bunch of that stuff. But today, let's start with the team things. And I know you sent in your preseason poll.
I did.
And it's going to be revealed. That's part of what's happening over the next 2 days is the revealing of the preseason all-conference teams and the preseason media poll and the coaches poll as well for this season. I have put one together as well, but Coulter, what do we need to know in general on this?
In general, I think that the league has more uncertainty surrounding it than it has since the league expanded from 9 to 13 teams in 2012. And you might ask me why. Well, I think that there's several whys.
Why, Coulter?
I think that there's several whys. One, Cal Poly is a complete anomaly. You've known what you're going to get out of Cal Poly for 20 years, whether it was Rich Ellerson or Tim Walsh at the helm. Cal Poly was going to be a pain in your butt to play. They're going to be a pain for preparation. They are going to have the slimmest margin of error of anybody in the league, but if they make you play their game, they could beat literally anybody, running the triple option, playing hard-nosed defense for a long time, running the flex defense to complement the triple option, so it was even more of a hard prep. But now we have no idea what Cal Poly is going to be. Conventional wisdom says that with a brand new head coach and honestly a new offensive system for the first time this century, that Cal Poly is going to take a huge dip. That said, Bo Baldwin, the new head coach, is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the Big Sky Conference, and I think that if you were going from running the spread to then running the triple option, there's no possible way you're going to be good. If you go from running the triple option to running the spread, there's a lot of ways you can be good because you can mitigate a lot of your weaknesses. I just have to imagine that Coach Baldwin, the fact that he's been the last 3 years at Cal as the offensive coordinator, there's no way that he didn't have a quarterback up his sleeve when he took the Cal Poly job. They're going to have a good quarterback, period. And I guarantee you that they have dudes. I mean, J.J. Koski is one of 10 guys that signed free agent contracts in the NFL. We had him on this show before. He didn't catch any passes at Cal Poly because he's playing wide receiver in the triple option. He made it to the league still. So there's a couple receivers that are just sitting there that haven't done anything but block for years that are going to be ready to roll. So that's one question mark. What's year 2 look like at Northern Arizona? They are, I wouldn't say a perennial contender, but a perennial non-bottom feeder. Northern Arizona, worst case scenario most years is 7th, and best case scenario, they've been in the playoffs. I mean, they made the playoffs 4 times in the last 20 years, which is actually more than any other team in the league, with the exception of Montana State. And I guess now Weber State has their 4-year run going, but it's tied with Weber State for 4th behind Montana State, and Eastern Washington. So NAU has been right there, and they were deplorable last year. What does Ed McCaffrey bring to Northern Colorado? And then Idaho, what does the albatross of Mason Petrino not being on the Vandals football team mean for Idaho? It could be really good. It could be really bad. I don't really know. I think that Idaho is the most fascinating team in the league because personnel is so far down the list on what their actual issues are and their question marks and things. And so all of that then combined with you're going to have at least 9 and maybe more new starting quarterbacks in the league. And then you talk about where I have my top 4 teams in the poll. This is the first time that I've really rested on one specific laurel in the way that I filled out the poll. It's not necessarily about the composite schedule, who plays who plays who where, who doesn't play who, and who has the best returning guys. I think because the league had 4 teams that earned playoff seeds and playoff buys and sent 3 teams, they sent 4 teams to the quarterfinals. Sac State lost in the second round, but the league sent 3 teams to the quarters, 2 teams to the semis. That's the best run the Big Sky has ever had. Because of that, though, everybody loses key players, whether it's to graduation or like at Sac State with Kevin Thompson moving on. So I ranked my top 4 teams in basically by the prowess, stability, and longevity of their head coach and the consistency of their current programs. So my top 4, Weber State. Jay Hill's been there the longest. They're the 3-time defending Big Sky champs. They've been to the quarterfinals of the playoffs 3 years in a row, and they were in the Final Four a year ago. Personnel aside, picking Weber State number 1. Montana State, I think they have the most upward momentum in the league, but they're going to have to prove it this year. They played the toughest league schedule in the conference in both 2017 and 2018. They got reprieve last year. They took advantage of it, but now they're going to have some prove-it-to-me games. For example, Weber State and Montana State has not played in 3 years. What a shame, first of all, for Big Sky football fans, because I think that's a clash of similar styles. I got Montana number 3, but honestly, when I put pencil to paper and do the composite schedule, as well as then analyze the stability and upward momentum of the programs, I got Montana State 2A and Montana 2B, only because
that's 2 and 3
of recent results. But I actually think that both the Cats and the Grizz, assuming we have this season, I think they're going to go into the Cat Grizz game with 1 loss again.
Stop right there, because I ranked it out through 5, the top 5. Okay. But to me, there's a definitive top 3, and it's the same top 3 that you said.
Yep.
I think that within the context of the conference, what you said is very valid when you talk about the longevity and the stability of the coaches that are at those programs. But within the context of the top 3, I think the head-to-head match, the schedule, the way it works out, is very important. I got Montana State being the best team in the Big Sky Conference as a football team. But there's no question they have the hardest of the 3 schedules to play between them, Montana, and Weber State. So Montana State, they have Idaho State and Portland State. Excuse me. No, that's Weber State. I'll come back to that. Montana State is on the road, okay? Not just playing against, but on the road against Weber State, Eastern Washington, and Montana. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how good Eastern's going to be.
That's my last question mark in the league is what do you think of Eastern Washington? Because that determines then the rest of what you think of the league. If you think Eastern can battle to be one of the 4 playoff teams out of the league, that influences the way you pick the rest of the game.
That's right.
But if you think they're going to regress to the middle of the pack, which I do, I picked them 6th, that has an influence on the rest of my top 5.
It does, and yet going to Eastern to play football is a challenge, period. And they still got Eric Berrier, and they still got, there's still players playing good football at Eastern Washington. So that road,
for sure, and they are really good. I mean, they're good at home. I mean, so they just replaced their red turf. The turf has. It's still going to be red.
Yeah.
But the turf has about 10 years worth of shelf life. They installed it the very first year when they won the national championship, 2010. But they had a stat the other day about what their record was on the turf. I think that they've lost less than 10 games in 10 years on the turf. So they are lights out. They are the best team in the league at home.
Montana, meanwhile, is at Eastern Washington as well to open conference play. They have Sac State, then they're at Idaho, and I'm going to come back to the Vandals in a little bit. Then they have a very nice run, frankly, between Southern Utah, Northern Colorado, and Northern Arizona. Those are their 3 of their last 4 games, with obviously the final game being Montana State at home. So there's an early stretch when you got Eastern Washington, Sacramento State, and then Idaho that's questionable. Like, those are going to be, there's going to be a couple, at least one, and maybe a couple very tough games in there in that stretch. But to finish out the season, things look very good for Montana heading into their home game with Montana State. But Weber State has the easiest schedule of the 3. And that bodes obviously very, very well for them. Their toughest stretch is 2 games. They get Montana State at home, and then they're on the road at Eastern Washington. And by the way, Eastern Washington plays everybody, but they play everybody in Cheney. I mean, that's pretty good by them.
Right.
But Weber State finishes their season with Idaho State, Portland State, Southern Utah, Northern Colorado. I mean, they're going to have a very good record. So if you're asking me to predict, I'm pretty hard-pressed to go against Weber State. But for the purposes of this, if I'm going to say who I think is the best team in the Big Sky, I'm going to go with the Cats. Then I'm going to go with the Wildcats based on that schedule, and then I'm going to go with Montana. Now, the bet hedging that I'm going to put on that is this. We are based out of Missoula.
Certainly.
We hear more about Montana either directly or indirectly than we do any other school in virtue of our geographic proximity.
Except the Cats.
Yeah.
We hear just as much about the Cats these days.
That's true.
For a variety of different reasons.
I guess what I'm getting at, though, is this, to steal your line. What we think we know about Montana State coming out of last year and going into this year hasn't changed all that much. It's good. It's all good. It's the upward trajectory that you talked about is great. They're going to have a monster running game that we're going to get into later. They're going to have a very good defense. They're going to be good. Montana, with, Dalton Snead's graduation, you go, okay, where are we at with a bunch of the young guys who have shown flashes but maybe haven't quite been? Where's this team at? The not just confidence, because Bobby Howe clubs are not lacking for that at any time, but the belief that this has a chance to be a very good to be a national championship contending type of club is real right now. And that's not just hype around a program in an off season. That is looking across the transfers that have come in, the next year of development of a bunch of unbelievably talented young kids that were brought in right away when Bobby Howe retook this team over, is the stability across the board, with one exception of the coaching staff for the 3rd consecutive year, which is almost unheard of. So, I nothing would surprise me in terms of Montana going out and being dominant this year as well.
You and I differ a little bit on some of the intangible elements of a team in terms of narratives, like being able to prove that you are the marked team, being able to handle the bullseye on your back. I believe in that stuff quite a bit. When it comes to college football specifically, because they're kids. Pressure is real. When you're the number 3 team in the country coming to Washington Grizzly Stadium for the first time since Montana's been any good in about 5 years, and you're Weber State, pressure is real. Those fans are raining down on you. And when Dante Olson puts your All-American running back on the sidelines 5 minutes in the game, that mentally impacts everybody. Weber State, that said, though, Weber State has proven, despite some glaring weaknesses within the personnel of their program, they can handle being that top team. They can get up for big games. The Grizz game in Missoula was actually the first big game in the last 3 years that Weber State wasn't ready to go.
Yeah.
That they got handled in. Montana State, though, I think that's one of the key factors to their season. Jeff Choate is there's builders, rebuilders, next level guys, and maintainers who keep you at elite level. Bobby Houck was such a great maintainer, and in a lot of ways, he actually took a national championship program and made it a little bit even better his first tenure at Montana. Remains to be seen if he's a rebuilder. I'm not sure. He's building it, though, for sure.
I mean,
Jeff Choate is an epic rebuilder, though, because Jeff Choate's a chip on your shoulder, nobody believes in us type of guy. Let's prove everybody wrong, us against the world. Well, okay, but then when you're number 17 in the country coming into the year and you're picked 4th or 5th in the Big Sky, nobody believes in us, guys. We're going to go out and shock the world. Well, when you're picked I expect Montana State to either be picked to win it or be second or at the very least third, right?
Yeah.
When you are a top 8 team in the country in the preseason poll and you are a inside track at the Final Four because you were just in the Final Four, you just won more games than your program has won in 35 years. You went to the Final Four for the first time in 35 years. That's a distinct shift in dynamic. That's where I think the Grizz have a definitive advantage over the Cats. Because the Grizz can still say, we're not there yet. We got whipped by our rival, and we lost in embarrassing fashion in the playoffs.
Thing. I don't even think Montana says that. From the very first day that Bobby Hauck re-arrived at the University of Montana, regardless of how good the football team was or wasn't, and what was missing, what weaknesses there were, in terms of on the field, what have we only ever heard and will only ever hear from him? It's a big game because they're playing us. We are the ones who are always the best. We are the ones who are the best team in the state, who are the best team in the conference, and who are going to, again, be the best team in this country. And that is it, and that is all. And so the idea of a target on your back has only been placed there by themselves forever, and that's where it's going to stay, regardless of whether it's earned in terms of your play on the field, and it is being that now.
Absolutely, but the mental adjustment it takes to be able to handle the way that Bobby Hauck runs his program is a definitive one, because he said that 2 years ago, and the Grizz beat themselves. They beat themselves in multiple games, and it was because of the pressure. Yeah. This is the biggest game because we're Montana. How do you turn the corner? That's the thing that's been so striking to me, though, is during this last decade of Grizz football, we've seen a profound fall from grace, and it's an absolute testament to the stability and the foundation of the program that a complete fall from grace still meant 78 victories and 5 playoff appearances over the last 10 years. It's just so crazy that is such a far cry from where they were at.
What it was.
But so often over the last 10 years, I would say 85% of Montana's losses over the last 10 years, unless it was, a great game against Eastern Washington or something like that. But any of the head-scratching losses, or quite frankly, a lot of the losses to the Cats, was Montana folding rather than someone stepping up and beating Montana. That's why what happened in November at Bobcat Stadium last year was so eye-opening. It was the first time I have ever seen a Grizz team, particularly a Bobby Hauck coached Grizz team, get destroyed.
Yeah.
And so how do you recover from that? Who knows? But they also think that it could be the silver lining. It could be the best thing that ever happened to them, because it could serve as, the we're not quite there yet motivation.
It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Let's get into the next couple. I went through the top 5. Number 4, Coulter, I'm staying with Sacramento State at number 4, even with the loss of Kevin Thompson, and it's a monster loss. There's 2 reasons I am. First of all, within the program, that being one reason, is Elijah Dawson's still a great football player, and they are still returning, I think, 8 other starters, 9 total starters on offense, even though Kevin Thompson's not going to be the quarterback there. And also, I believe in Troy Taylor. Okay, I think he came in. I think he was great. Now, we've seen this, especially in the NFL, where a guy is great in his first year as an NFL coach, and then people start to catch on, figure out what you're doing, and it takes a dive. Maybe that happens, but I think Troy Taylor, he's a proven coach. I mean, he's as football savvy as they come, and I believe in him. So that's one reason. The other reason is there's a lot of teams in this league that I don't think are that good. And
I absolutely agree with that. I actually don't think that any of the teams are good.
Well, and
besides the top 5, I think that the only 2 teams that I think are could be good, could be mediocre, are Portland State and Eastern Washington. Everybody else, I think, is either really good or not good.
That was my revelation this year coming out of last year, where we had
unless Cal Poly's good.
We had unbelievable parity last season where.
We've had unbelievable parity since the league expanded.
Yeah. All the teams had either one loss or at least 2 wins in conference play. I mean, that's for 13-team league that's remarkable. I don't think that's going to happen this year. You're going to have a very clear distinction of the best teams at the top and the bad teams at the bottom. And I agree with you. I don't think there's very much in the middle. And so with that, I think Sacramento State, and I have not looked at Sacramento State's schedule, okay, but I think Sacramento State has a chance to capitalize on the weakness around the rest of the league. And that is also why at 5, I'm taking Portland State. They're returning, a great quarterback. Sure, it's easy to believe in Barney doing his thing. Talk about handling adversity. Who's had to do more of that than the Portland State football team? Well, guess what? Now everybody does. Is there an inside track that can be gained there? Because this is just par for the course with them trying to figure things out on the fly just to keep the lights on. So I like
to answer your question about Sac State. Sac State doesn't play Weaver State, don't play Montana State. They do play at Montana. So you're right. They have a little bit of a scheduling advantage.
But the only two teams that I think I'll say this. The only two teams I expect to be average, okay, to be middle of the pack is Eastern and Idaho.
Interesting.
They could be worse. They could be better. But I don't think Cal Poly Bo Baldwin's great. This offseason is absolutely the worst case scenario for a new head coach. We talked about this in the case of Ed McCaffrey at Northern Colorado. It absolutely applies to Bo Baldwin, though he is a veteran of this league, though he is a great football coach, and though him being at Cal Poly all of a sudden puts the league on notice. That ain't this season, in my opinion. I think they got a ton of work to do, and it's going to be hard before it's easy, so to speak, for Cal Poly. Northern Arizona, Chris Ballman, I like him, but he's got to do it. He's got to change the culture, but he took a team that's been okay to good for 20 years, and they were horrendous last year. And I know that there's a whole bunch that went into that, but until I see it there, no. Southern Utah, absolutely not. Northern Colorado, terrible. So I see a lot of bad football teams here, which gives maybe a team like Portland State, maybe a team like Sacramento State the opportunity. UC Davis is a wild card to me, though, as well. So I throw the last.
Yeah, UC Davis is a little bit of a wild card. The thing is that the way that this league has always worked out is you kind of know the 3 or 4 teams that are going to be the teams that are going to win the games that they should win.
Yeah.
But it's always been about what teams pull a 4-4 record out to ruin everything. There was the 2-year stretch where Ernest Collins Jr. had success at Northern Colorado. They went 8-8 over a 2-year span in league play.
Yeah.
Had back-to-back 6 and 5 seasons. That sounds crazy to say that that's success compared to what some of the other schools are. But when you are Northern Colorado and you on paper are supposed to go 0-8 in league and you win 4 games, that means you screwed up the entire standings.
Well,
we've seen it multiple times throughout the years. But like right now, when I look at this, I think NAU, Idaho State, Northern Colorado, Idaho, and Southern Utah, those teams, unless they're playing each other, there's no real way I can justify picking them to win a game. The only exception being Idaho, because Idaho has traditional rivals, and the difference between having a traditional rivalry game, it gives you a game that the results can be unexpected if you just get up for it.
Yeah.
Last year, Eastern Washington was not ready to play in the Kiwi Dome. Idaho whipped them.
Yeah.
No one had that on paper. But that ended up costing Eastern Washington a playoff berth.
Yeah. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Our roundtable is going to be Coulter not even breaking down, but predicting and giving you his answers on the people and the individuals in the league.
That's right. I got my all-league team, a couple of arguments to have over that, and I also got the 2 biggest question marks for the top 8 teams in the league, and I got games of the week, weeks 1 through 11. We'll break it all down.
But next, give us a call, because we're going to give you wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern. 361-3688, 361-3688. Call right now. I got some NFL questions for you. We're starting to get into fantasy season, boys and girls. So 361-3688. We'll go through some numbers at the top, as it were. Hey, the second annual Smoke on the Water presents Fire in the Hole. It's a 9-hole golf scramble Saturday, July 25th at the Linda Vista Golf Course. Registration starts at 1. Shotgun start registrations at 1. Shotgun start at 2. Festivities are going till 8. It's just 9 holes, but there are prizes on every single hole to be won. You can make an ace everywhere out there at Linda Vista. You got a brand new motorcycle and a side-by-side from Grizzly Harley Davidson, among other hole prizes. Also, check out the live and silent auctions. They got artwork. They got drinks. They got golf. They got hunting trips. It's all there. Go to cigarsonthewater.com to register and to look up the auction items. Cigarsonthewater.com. Check it all out. The dinner will be catered by the Miller Creek Cafe, and then there will be an after party at the Rhino as well, so you can enjoy yourself throughout the day and the evening as well. Tickets are $125 at cigarsonthewater.com. Partial proceeds from the event going to the Western Montana Shrine Club. So this Saturday, July 25th, enjoy the scramble at the Linda Vista Golf Club. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Summer's here and the time is right for real fruit smoothies at Florence Coffee Company. Offered in flavors like strawberry, mango, peach, wild berry, and banana, and made with no artificial colors or flavors. Florence Coffee's fruit smoothies are the perfect summer treat. Enjoy a real fruit smoothie today at any Flowco locations or visit FlorenceCoffeeCo.com.
The best flavor under the big sky. Florence Coffee Company.
Here's some exciting news. Farmers State Bank is offering the Summer Better Sweepstakes for a chance to win $5,000. Download our mobile money app and use Zelle to send money. During June and July, each time you send $5 or more with Zelle, you receive a sweepstakes entry. For rules and details, visit farmersebank.com. Farmers State Bank, member FDIC. No purchase necessary. Zelle is available to U.S. bank account holders only. Terms and conditions apply. Zelle is a property of Early Warning Services, LLC.
Push your Montana summer day over the top. Come into the Montana Club for a deliciously prepared meal, scratch-made from all the right stuff. Savor our crisp garden salads, juicy burgers, and custom-grilled Montana Club Cattle Company Angus steaks. Or try our creative chef specials crafted for your feasting enjoyment. Stop in for our BOGO happy hour with $5 apps from 3 to 5:30 daily. Clean, safe, and local. Visit your Montana Club today on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
I'm Sheila Hogan of DPHHS. Summer in Montana means fun in the water, but let's play it safe.
I'm Martha Williams of FWP. Many tragedies are preventable. Closely and constantly supervise children around water.
Learn CPR at home. Empty all baths and wading pools immediately after use. And Coast Guard approved life jackets are available around Montana.
Be smart this summer. Be vigilant and respect the water. Let's all do our part.
Brought to you by DPHHS and FWP.
Do you or your business have audio needs? Missoula Broadcasting Company has you covered with full-service audio production studios, fully staffed with a suite of equipment with tools to produce professional studio-quality audio. Anything from podcasts to radio commercials, social media campaigns to audiobooks. If you can hear it, we can handle it. Missoula Broadcasting Company is your audio headquarters. For more rates and more information, call me, Colter Nuanez, at Missoula Broadcasting Company today at 406-721-6800.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. A variety of recruiting news highlighted the sports landscape across Montana on Tuesday evening and into Wednesday. The University of Montana men's basketball team officially received word its newest point guard is eligible. The Grizz football team added a pair of FBS drop-downs. And the Montana State women's basketball team, they got a verbal commitment for the class of 2021, while the Cat football team landed a pair of verbal commitments from Arizona.
A lot of teams. Grizz men's basketball team officially received word from Cameron Parker that the former Sacred Heart record-setting point guard would be eligible for this next basketball season, whenever that might be. Parker, who set an NCAA single-game record with 24 assists in a game last season, told Jeff Goodman of Stadium that the NCAA has approved his waiver, meaning Parker will be eligible immediately and have 2 seasons left to play.
The Grizz football team officially got clearance for former Arizona defensive end Justin Belknap, who started nearly 24 games over the last 3 seasons for the Wildcats, along with former Louisville cornerback Justin Ford.
And the MSU women's basketball team received a verbal commit from Maya Hughes. She is a 5'11" forward out of Woodinville, Washington, one of the best players in the state of Washington, currently ranked as the number 3 prospect in the entire Evergreen State.
And finally, the Montana State football team earned verbal commitments from Phoenix area prospect wide receiver Andrew Patterson and Aaron Gurley, a 6'2", 255-pound defensive tackle.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. If you want to win some wings, the Desperado, the best wings in the city of Missoula, give us a call, 361-3688. Got some trivia questions for you, 361-3688, that phone number. If you would like to follow along on Twitter, you can do that at Gus Tootell, at 102.9 ESPN, and at Skyline Sports MT as well. Coulter, I got a quick story for you. Well, you got something
Can't
for
wait.
me over there?
I don't.
You're locked in. Okay.
I don't.
Did you see this? The New York Times, Andrew E. Kramer wrote this story. A man with a firearm and explosives took 13 hostages in the Ukraine. Did you hear this?
I saw this on your Twitter feed last night at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Normally, I make it a rule that I don't tweet after about 11 p.m. But last night...
But why?
Huh?
But why?
Well, just, You
think anybody has you on Twitter alert notification?
Well, no, I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. They're not going to see it until
it's because I don't want to tweet anything I regret. That's why.
Ah, I see.
But
you're 40. Live life with no regrets.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. So this guy took a 13 hostages with firearms and explosives on a bus in the Ukraine. He had a couple of demands, but one of the demands, and fairly central to this, this situation, which was obviously a crisis type of situation, was that the president of the Ukraine endorse a documentary called Earthlings, which was narrated by Joaquin Phoenix about animal abuse from 2005. I mean, if you're going to go to the extent that you're going to hold hostages with live explosives so that you can get your, Eastern Bloc president to endorse a 15-year-old documentary on animal abuse done, by the way, by Joaquin Phoenix, that is a lot of things going on right there. By the way, I'm happy to say, and I probably wouldn't spend the time on this if it had ended any differently, he was ultimately released the hostages. No one was injured in any way. The man is now in custody. Maxim Krivosh is his name, who uses the nickname Maxim the Bad. Probably pretty accurate. But I guess he got what he wanted because in a reportedly terse statement from the president of the Ukraine, he did endorse the documentary Earthlings. It's 2020, bro. This is what's going on right now. Let's go to the phones. We welcome in Ross for a Wing It Wednesday. Hello, Ross. How are you?
What's up, boys? It's been a while.
It's been a little while. We're glad to have you back here on the show. We know you know how this thing works, but just for review, 3 questions. All you need to get right is 2 of them. If you do, you got yourself a basket of wings to the Desperado. If you get all 3, you get a shirt as well. And Coulter, he's going to help you on this thing, okay?
Deal.
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tell me likey. Tell me want wingy.
All right, Ross. Now, are you into the NFL? You like the NFL?
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yep.
Okay, good. It's good. Hey, it hasn't even been delayed. It's the only thing yet, right? Now, do you play fantasy? Do you play fantasy football, Ross?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is about numbers that particularly would appeal to NFL fans and perhaps even more so to those that enjoy a little fantasy football. So here we go. Question number 1 to Wing It Wednesday. What quarterback led the NFL in passing yards a season ago?
Jameis.
Ross, it is Jameis Winston. 30 picks, 5,109 yards, and 33 touchdowns.
Just chucking it.
Yes or no question, Ross. Just yes or no. Is Jameis Winston good?
Yeah.
Okay. Easy to say after you get this good stat. By the way, second on the list, Dak Prescott, 4,902 yards. 200 yards behind Jameis.
He's stuck in that. Cousins Dalton range. You know that. That's good. He's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Who led the league in receiving yards last year?
Receiving yards. I'll go with Mike Thomas.
It wasn't even close. 1,725 yards. I don't think he was the only player with over 100 receptions, but he had like 149 receptions. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Threatened the league record, right?
Julio Jones, number 2, 1,394. Still a great season.
I'm glad Ross got that one because I was actually I spaced out Michael Thomas, and I was going to say Julio Jones.
Okay. Last question. Now, I have what I think is kind of a layup, so I'm going to make this one a little harder on you. Okay, Ross? By the way, congratulations. Even without the help of Coulter, you, my friend, got wings to the Desperado. Excellently done by you. Here we go. Question number 3. Derrick Henry led the league in rushing last year for the Tennessee Titans. Much has been made of that. He got a nice new contract, 1,540 yards. Who was behind him by merely 46 yards in total rushes last year?
Nick Chubb, he had it locked up, but those Browns, they can't coach their way out of nothing, so they let him down.
Not Christian McCaffrey.
I believe they got their butt kicked by the Bengals in the last week.
Not Ezekiel Elliott, Nick Chubb. 1,494 yards, the number 2 running back by yardage in the league last year. You went 3 for 3. You didn't even need Coulter. Ross, that's impressive. Give your information to Tommy in the back, and we will hook it up.
Well, thanks, Ross.
Yeah, man.
Very well done. That's how you do it, boys and girls. 3 for 3. Ross coming in here and knocking it out. All right, you want an actual, what I think is a hard one? I wouldn't have known the answer to this. Who led the league last year, Coulter, in tackles, combined tackles, and solo and what do you call it? Co-tackles, whatever, half tackle.
Man, I got 3 guys that popped to the forefront of my mind.
Yep.
Joe Schobert from the Cleveland Browns.
Nope.
Fred Warner from the San Francisco 49ers.
Nope.
Darius Leonard from the Indianapolis Colts.
All good guesses, all wrong.
Hold on.
I mean, if you get this, Coulter, lunch is on me.
AFC or NFC?
Okay, now only half your lunch is on me.
Okay.
AFC. Good radio here.
I don't know. Okay. I don't got it.
Number 3 with 155 tackles, your Green Bay Packers middle linebacker Blake Martinez.
Yeah.
Number 2.
If there's not a better representation of how tackles are an overrated stat, that's it.
I could not agree with you more. And yet this, Bobby Wagner, 159, not overrated, right?
Sure.
The leading tackler from a year ago is 27 years old and does not even have a football team at the moment. He is an unrestricted free agent. He was cut by the Cincinnati Bengals. Preston Brown had 164 tackles last year. 7 years in the league, 27 years old out of Louisville. Led the league in tackles, got cut. So there's your NFL for you.
I got a story.
Okay. Do you want to do it now, or you want to do it on the other side?
We'll do it on the other side. This is the story of how. This is the story of. There's this long-term narrative of the Browns and their terrible draft picks, right? I think there's a parallel narrative to Nebraska and why they're not good at football anymore. I'll tell you why in terms of all the bad decisions they've made at the quarterback position over the last 5 years.
Now more than ever, we appreciate the value of relationships. Opportunity Bank has been serving Montanans and building strong relationships since 1922. With banking services for your family and your business, Opportunity Bank is with you as we move through these challenging times. For the latest information about how Opportunity Bank is working with customers and communities during the COVID-19 crisis, visit our website at opportunitybank.com We're all in this together. Opportunity Bank of Montana, member FDIC.
There's a reason the Desperado has been voted best wings and sports bar in Missoula. Start with the wings. Despo wings are never frozen, which is why they're always big, juicy, and tender. And the burgers and steaks at the Despo? They purchase them each day from a butcher shop right here in town. And when it comes to drinks, the Despo has the coldest beer on tap and is always served in a frosty mug. All this, plus the NFL ticket every Sunday, Grizz games, and the friendliest staff in town. The Desperado Sports Tavern, across from the Y on Russell.
Blaine McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
It's summertime, Missoula. Time to get busy. And when it comes to your summer style, don't overthink it. Compass Barbershop can give you that cool, easy style to fit your summer lifestyle, whether it's laid back or full throttle. From precision cuts to shaves, the professionals at Compass Barbershop do it all. Convenient online appointments are always available at compassbarber.com, where you can also learn about the safety procedures now in place. So find your way to Compass Barbershop. Open Monday through Saturday on the hip strip at the corner of modern and retro.
Dr. Hardy from NWPSA is here with me. Dr. Hardy, it seems like every day there is some new therapy or procedure for folks looking to improve their confidence and appearance. What is your process for choosing what you will offer your patients?
One of the most important things to remember about plastic surgery and skin therapies is that the latest isn't always the greatest. In our practice, we let science and safety speak, so we educate ourselves on every new technology and procedure and only bring in what we feel can give safe and effective results to our patients.
Well, that's what it's all about. How does a patient go about choosing what is right for their needs?
Each patient will have an extensive consultation where we discuss their short and long-term goals. Patients can feel secure in knowing that we have the experience to guide them to the treatments that'll be the most effective in helping them reach these goals in a safe and confidential environment.
Contact Northwest Plastic Surgery Associates, NWPSA.com, or call 728-3811.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Story time with Colton Nuanez, maybe some baseball stuff, but quickly a correction. Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Normally, I think that I take responsibility if I mess up. I'm taking no responsibility for this. But the Preston Brown stat is from 2018. Bobby Wagner and Blake Martinez were 1 and 2 last year, but on the NFL.com website, under the 2019 stats, says Preston Brown had 164 last season for the Cincinnati Bengals, which he did not. That was 2 years ago. So it has been logged on the wrong location on the NFL.com website. I mean, what are they doing over there? It's almost like they don't have $10 billion to figure out the web information, you know?
It's even more perplexing than that because when you click on Preston Brown's stats, he actually hasn't had over 100 tackles in the season since 2017 with the Buffalo Bills when he had 128. There is no reference to a 164 tackle season ever. His statistics per career say that he played 7 games for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2018 and had 42 total tackles, and last year played 10 games for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 51 total tackles. So this is a algorithm error, I believe.
What would have been great is if you would have guessed Preston Smith, which would have never happened. Preston Brown, all right.
Right.
And then won lunch and then found out that the stat was long, and then I would not have paid you lunch.
That would have been cruel. I don't know if that would have been great.
No, you didn't get it right.
Sure.
Coulter, tell us about the Nebraska football team as it pertains to the Cleveland football team.
Catching up on reading some of my old Sports Illustrated, read a great article about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, as we know, grew up in Athens, Ohio.
Yep.
Was, I I believe, the Ohio Gatorade Player of the Year in basketball at least once, maybe even twice.
Great basketball player.
But the knock on him always was that he doesn't have the quote-unquote prototype size, which I think is something that has to just be thrown out the window at this point in the evolution of football.
Yes.
All of the 6'5" and above quarterbacks I know now, with the exception of maybe Ben Roethlisberger, aren't actually even good. Yeah. Give me the 6'1" guy all day. I mean, look at all the best quarterbacks in the league right now. None of them. Patrick Mahomes is the tallest one. He's 6'2". 6'2" is good. Joe Burrow is 6'3", 220. I mean, he's perfectly adequately sized. Throw the prototype out the window. But also the knock was always that he has a good but not great arm. Well, as we also know, most of the great gunslingers in football history only really... The only real legendary arms the last 25 years that have been actually good quarterbacks too have been Brett Favre and Patrick Mahomes.
John Elway.
Well, John Elway.
He was before 25 years. Well,
he was right in that 25-year range.
Years.
Yeah, that's true.
Marino.
Yeah, both those guys for sure. Those guys were kind of the ones that initially set the pace, because it used to just be field general, operate the offense. Really whizzing it was not really that important until the early 80s, and those guys are the ones that kind of set that pace. And then, but then it proved to be more not true than true with the likes of Jeff George and Jay Cutler and Jamarcus Russell and all these other guys. Anyways, Joe Burrow, even though he grew up in Athens, Ohio, I think there was this broad narrative, especially that was perpetuated last year, that he grew up wanting to be an Ohio State player, being from Ohio. It's not true. Joe Burrow's father played at University of Nebraska. Joe Burrow's two older brothers also played at the University of Nebraska. Joe Burrow grew up his entire life wanting to play for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. When he was a junior in high school, he went to camp at Nebraska and begged them to give him a walk-on spot. Bo Pelini said, nope, you're not good enough.
Sounds about right.
Senior year, goes back to the table, said his dad's with him. He said, my dad's name is in the Hall of Fame. Like, we are willing to do anything for Joe to be a Cornhusker. And Pelini says, well, we got a verbal commit from this kid from Florida named Lamar Jackson. First of all, imagine what would happen to Nebraska football if Lamar Jackson would have went there. Bo Pelini would probably still be the coach.
Probably he would.
Of course, as we know, Bobby Petrino comes in the back door, gets Lamar Jackson to go to Louisville. Lamar Jackson goes on to win the Heisman Trophy. So, circle back around, Bo Pelini leaves, ends up at Youngstown State somehow. Scott Frost takes over. Scott Frost recruits the Martinez kid, who has been and still is obsessed with, who has shown flashes of being pretty good.
He's not like some awful quarterback.
He's pretty good.
He's good.
So, when Joe Burrow fails to win the job against who was Ohio State's quarterback before Dwayne Haskins? Regardless, Joe Burrow doesn't win the job twice.
Barrett?
Maybe, and then doesn't win against Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Wants to transfer. So then he circles back a third time. Said, I've been learning in Urban Meyer's system. I know I don't have any film, but I want to come to Nebraska. Scott Frost has this now epic.
Is he better than who we got?
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I never knew that portion of the story. It just seems like egg on the face for Nebraska. It's just crazy that they were a couple weeks away from having Lamar Jackson. Either way could have had Joe Burrow, and instead now haven't had a winning season in like a decade, when they were at one point like the most proud, prolific football program in the country.
I was listening to a guy today, Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN radio, and he said, look, I've been watching this is a football, specifically an NFL analyst, okay, an NFL player analyst, saying, I've been watching football a long time, okay? I've been right about a lot of guys, especially quarterbacks that have come in, and I've been wrong about a lot of guys that come in. He said, when Patrick Mahomes came out of college, I didn't think he was going to be good. His footwork was terrible. He had a great arm, but wasn't super, like, incredibly accurate, and had never played in any system like you have to play in the NFL to be able to read defenses and things like that.
Yep.
And he goes, but guess what? He went to Andy Reid.
Exactly.
He spent a year with Andy Reid, got himself his footwork still is questionable, but it just doesn't matter because of his right rifle. But he can now think the game in a way that you could never have projected that would, but he got in a place with a guy who knows what he's doing and then had the elements to make him become what he is. Then you take a Baker Mayfield who goes to Cleveland, who there's no reason that Baker Mayfield shouldn't be a very good quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Well, coming out of year one, part of the problem was he just wasn't big enough. He needed to bulk up. So he lifted weights, he gained some weight, he got bigger. Well, coming out of year two, didn't go great. Now what's he doing? Losing weight. Now, is weight gain, weight loss, like how instrumental is that into being a good quarterback or whatever? It's way down the list. I get it. But like, how is it that one thing that you were doing over here was the absolute thing you needed to do? And now the opposite of that is what you need to do in order to be good. He's going to be now on his third head coach in 3 years, his second offensive coordinator in 3 years, a whole new system once again, and it is the same story as it was before, even though the talent is burgeoning in Cleveland, which is something they can't always say has been the case. It is there, but why do I think that Stefanski now is going to be the answer? I don't, and it's too bad, man. It's a waste, and a lot of it isn't about the guy. Oh, why did that quarterback stink? Well, you know what? Maybe his coaches stink.
The NFL is a quarterback league, but it's also a copycat league. The thing that has perplexed me for this entire century has been that everybody copies everybody when it comes to almost everything. The only thing that no one in the NFL seems to have the gumption to copy is the offensive mindset and offensive flexibility of the New England Patriots. What have the Patriots done for 20 years? They've run an offense that emphasizes and maximizes Tom Brady's skill set. That's been a little bit different variations of offenses, and it's been dependent on personnel, but they've been flexible rather than having a system, and if you don't fit in the system, you don't work. So many NFL franchises have been completely stuck in the mud because they try to draft a quarterback to run their system. They decide on the system before the quarterback. That's why Andy Reid's so brilliant. Look at the stuff that Andy Reid was doing in Green Bay when he was still an assistant. And then look at what he was doing in Philadelphia as the head coach. And look at what he's doing right now with the Chiefs. None of it looks the same. There's no Andy Reid type system. What does Andy Reid do best? Identify quarterback talent, develop quarterback talent, and make a system for the quarterback. So Patrick Mahomes got better in the NFL the day he got to the NFL because they designed a system for him. I don't understand why other teams don't do that. That's my number one question mark on Joe Burrow. Why did Joe Burrow go from a dude who couldn't beat out anybody at Ohio State, a dude who couldn't even get a walk-on offer to Nebraska, to a dude that threw nearly 60 touchdowns and had one of the storybook Heisman Trophy seasons in the history of college football? To me, it's one reason and one reason alone. Joe Brady. Ed Orgeron is outside the box. He doesn't have a system. He's going to make a system for you, especially on offense. What did LSU do for forever, for your dad's whole lifetime? Hand the ball off to the biggest, baddest running back in the country over and over and over again.
With Les Miles.
With everybody. Every coach that LSU's had has been, that's what they do. They ground and pound and they play salty defense. But what Orgeron, the first, Joe Burrow broke in the starting lineup the second half of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's throwing all over the place. Orgeron said, we got to change it. We got to scrap it, got to change it. So he goes and gets this hotshot 29-year-old offensive coordinator from the New Orleans Saints, Joe Brady, and they run this offense that no one in college football has ever seen. And all of a sudden, Joe Burrow is throwing 5 touchdowns a game because he's just destroying people. That's my biggest question mark of Joe Burrow in the NFL, though, because ironically, I don't think the Bengals are going to go find Joe Burrow a Joe Brady. Do you know what I mean? This is another reason why I think guys like Kyler Murray have been set up to have success, because they tore down the organization internally and said, here, we're going to build it up around this guy rather than saying we're going to get this guy and put him, square peg, round hole. That's where Baker Mayfield is going to go awry, in my opinion, and it's going to be the biggest obstacle for Joe Burrow as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing he does have going for him is Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor has won 2 games in his NFL career as a head coach. Mm-hmm. They were obviously terrible last year. That's why they got Joe Burrow. But does that mean that he doesn't know what he's doing on offense? Certainly not.
Sure.
And Joe Burrow, have you taken a stock of the Cincinnati offensive skill position players?
I have not. Okay. I know they still have Joe Mixon somewhere.
What do you mean somewhere? Joe Mixon as one of the best running backs in the league behind what was without.
I'm just not on it, dude.
But that's because you don't know football. The offensive line was
the only thing I know.
Was absolutely atrocious last year. He still actually ended up having a pretty good season, all things considered. They go ahead. They bring back A.J. Green, who was missing all of last season.
Yeah.
They upgrade their quarterback considerably, it seems to me, from Andy Dalton to Joe Burrow.
Yep.
They still have John Ross somewhere. We'll see what happens there. Tyler Higbee, they drafted.
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, excuse me. They drafted out of Clemson.
Yep.
And
you're thinking Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd
was actually a breakout
and
guy
Golden
last year.
Tate. I mean, they are loaded up in Cincinnati now. Whether they're going to,
I didn't realize they got rid of my guy Tyler Eifert.
Well,
I was just waiting for him to just have one of his extremities explode on the Monday Night Football game again.
Tyler,
I mean, has anybody suffered as bad injuries as many times as him on primetime TV?
Dude, I don't even feel good talking about it.
It sucks.
No. I mean, no, it doesn't. Stubbing your toe while you're walking to the bathroom sucks.
Right.
This is life-altering bad.
Yeah, no, it's bad. He's had some horrible injuries.
No. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 straight ahead. ESPN Roundtable featuring Colton Nuanez, who does know football, especially Big Sky football, even if he doesn't know how to evaluate NFL running backs properly. We'll get to that right after this. Boys and girls.
I'm winning the David Johnson argument, and I will win the Joe Burrow argument, or the Joe Mixon argument when it's all said and done. I will concede you're winning the Christian McCaffrey argument. But it also might all be over for Christian McCaffrey in about 1.5 seasons.
I've already won the Mixon argument.
No.
2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. What's there? Kurtz Polaris. That's what. Summer is here. We are rolling through it, and the time is now to enjoy the outdoors, get up in the mountains, get out on the lake. You go to Kurtz Polaris for everything you need, both vehicle-wise and accessory-wise, online at kurtzpolaris.com. The full range of side-by-sides, Polaris #1 in the industry with their four-wheelers, off-road vehicles. You can also get dirt bikes, Husqvarna and Beta dirt bikes, top of the line as well, and now Crest pontoon boats. Get out on the lake, perhaps a river if you got a nice big river that you like to go float around in and enjoy yourself on a Crest pontoon boat. That is a great time. All of that is at Kurtz Polaris. Summer the way you always envisioned with Kurtz. Online again, kurtzpolaris.com. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
We've missed short drives to see friends, long drives to see family. We've missed road trips, car camping, heck, we've even missed commuting. We're grateful to be getting back on the road, and Les Schwab wants to help you drive safe, just like we always have. To help get you rolling again safely, we're happy to offer up to $110 off a set of 4 select tires. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Limited time offer while supplies last. Actual discount amount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
After a long couple of months, it's finally feeling like we're getting back to business as usual. But it's not the usual at all. At Missoula's Wingate, we are, as always, committed to giving you a relaxing stay at a great value. But we're also balancing the new guidelines like maximum pool occupancies and increased disinfecting to protect your health with a never-ending pledge to make you feel at home when you're not. If you find yourself on the road in the Missoula area, please consider staying with us at Missoula's Wingate.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
For Simon from Craven's Coffee, the love of Africa continues.
We're buying fair trade organic coffee from Rwanda, from a cooperative, in what I think is the best growing area in the country. To make sure it's certified organic and to make sure it's fair trade certified is a huge undertaking for those two certification agencies, yet they managed to do it. This is a work in progress. Rwanda is a work in progress. You can contrast that with Tanzania. In comparison with Rwanda, which is this large cooperative organization, for Tanzania, Craven's is the licensed agent with the FDA. We buy from the Mondul estate, and what we do with Tanzania is that we bring in their tea berry coffee, where the two beans grow into one. To us, gives the coffee a little more of that winey intensity. Attributes of a great estate coffee. It's got mountain spring water. It has got the altitude to grow great coffee. Shade trees everywhere. From the top, you can see Kilimanjaro. It's that close.
Find your favorite Craven's Coffee blend at grocery stores, restaurants, coffee shops, and online at cravenscoffee.com.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. A variety of recruiting news has highlighted the sports landscape across the state of Montana Tuesday evening. A bunch of teams making announcements, including the University of Montana men's basketball team and the Grizzly football team. The Montana State women's basketball team and the Montana State football team also getting commitments for this forthcoming class.
Grizz men's basketball officially received word from Cameron Parker that the former Sacred Heart record-setting point guard would be eligible for the next basketball season. Parker, who set a NCAA record with 24 assists in a single game last season, told Jeff Goodman of Stadium that the NCAA has approved his waiver, meaning he will be eligible immediately whenever basketball season might occur and have 2 seasons left to play.
The Grizz football team officially got clearance for former Arizona defensive end Justin Belknap, who started nearly 24 games over the last 3 seasons for the Wildcats, and now announced earlier, official now, former Louisville cornerback Justin Ford.
The MSU women's basketball team received a verbal commitment from Maya Hughes, a 5'11" forward out of Woodinville, Washington. She is currently ranked as the number 3 prospect in the entire Evergreen State.
And the Montana State football team, they got verbal commits from 2 Phoenix area prospects, wide receiver Andrew Patterson of Desert Edge High and Aaron Garrell, a 6'2", 255-pound defensive tackle out of Greenway High School. The ESPN Sports Center brought to you by Aaron Pignano of Exit Realty. Welcome back, hour number 2.
Here is Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
What am I doing, Tommy? I mean, I sit here, I'm talking to Colter, I think I'm ready to rock, and then...
In broadcasting, there's a thing called a clock. And if you would follow the clock, man, this wouldn't be an issue in your 7th year on the air.
Now, I'm going to say this. There's a lot of good reasons for me to follow the clock, but me following the clock would have not changed that at all.
No, he needs to look at the computer.
We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Thank you very much.
Do your children behave better for one of the 2 parents?
No.
Oh, okay.
They're all equally good or bad. It's more pack mentality with 30 kids. It's like if one or 2 of them doing good, everybody's happy, but then like it can go sideways.
Well, I just think it's hilarious because Tommy produced this show exclusively for 2 years and a couple months when it was the 2 of us.
Yeah.
We never hit the clock one time. We hired a new producer. We did nothing but stay on the clock perfectly for 9 full months.
Yep.
And Tommy took a seat in the back. And now we do 37-minute segments again.
I think we found the problem. Tommy Evans does not know how to control the on-air outfit. If you missed anything in the first hour, listen on the podcast. The first hour is a little longer than an hour, just so you know. Roughly an hour. The podcast is available on all your favorite podcasting outlets anytime you would like it. The podcast is here thanks to Blackfoot and Alpine Touch. If you want to call, 361-3688. All guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone line. You can also text that line, 361-3688, and we will do another Wing It Wednesday here coming up next. But right now, it is time for our ESPN Roundtable. It is presented by our friends at Paradise Falls. Paradise Falls, spectacular spot. I ate out on the patio yesterday, and it was just perfect. I'll tell you more about it here in a little while. But Coulter, tomorrow, again, the start of Big Sky Conference Media Days for football, Thursday and Friday. We'll have a state of the conference address from Tom Wistersill, the commissioner of the conference, and all of the all-conference preseason players will be revealed. The preseason polls will be revealed. So go ahead, fill us in here on what we need to know. What do you want to do?
Well, we can talk a little bit about the players, but first let's talk a little bit more about the teams. We're going to play a couple different games here, Ryan. This first game is going to be called Weighing the Question Marks. So I have 2 question marks for each of the top 8 teams in the league, and then we're going to rank where those question marks fit into the league. So Weber State, to me, I think their 2 biggest question marks are, can they have increased production at quarterback with Jake Constantine leaving the program and transferring to Towson? He would have been a third-year starter. He is a transfer from Boise State, but he's been never really better than average and a lot of times not very good at Weber State, yet they still have managed to improve offensively a little bit. That's not their MO. That's not what they want to do, but they did average 28 points per game last year, which is about a touchdown better than what they did in their previous 2 playoff runs. So they did improve a little bit. They have actually great offensive skill players and a good offensive line. So what does the returns? I mean, I know they brought in a junior college quarterback. They also have Caden Jenks, who suffered that horrific injury against Montana State 2 years ago. He's waiting in the wings. So quarterback, and also then can they reload on the defensive line once again? Because they've already had the first reload when they had to replace guys like McKay Murphy, and they did it with guys like Adam Rodriguez and Jonah Williams, but can they do it again? Can George Tarlas, who was one of my preseason all-league defensive ends, even though he wasn't even a starter last year, I voted for him because he had 9 sacks off the bench, and that's what they do. They always show glimpses. It's very similar to what Montana did in the 2000s, where you have this third defensive end who's sort of your up-and-comer. Can he be better than the guys he comes after? We saw it at Montana with guys like Mike Murphy, who then came out of kind of nowhere to be all-American type guys. So those are the 2 question marks for Weber State. Montana State, how do they handle the dynamic of taking the next step when the next step is basically going to the title game, when the next step is winning a Big Sky Conference championship? How do they handle that intangible element? Secondly, what's their defensive secondary going to look like? Munchie Filer was one of the best lockdown corners in the league 2 years ago. He missed all of last season. They were able to mitigate it a little bit because Damian Washington was such a cerebral player. But the Montana State secondary at one point was incredibly flush with talent when you talk about guys like Tyrell Thomas, Jalen Cole, Munchie Filer, Damian Washington, and then the awesome safeties that were Jacquay Allen, JoJo Henderson, and Braden Conkle. Well, all 3 of those safeties I just named are gone. Jalen Cole had to retire because of an injury. Damian Washington graduated. So now you got Tyrell Thomas and Munchie Filer, who I think will be one of the better corner sets in the league. Where do they get production out at safety? I mean, Braden Conkle was a 4-year starter. Jacquay Allen was a guy who started in the ACC at Virginia Tech before he came in. It's tough to replace that talent level. Montana, I think their 2 biggest question marks are Cam Humphrey. Is he okay, good, or great? As simple as that at quarterback. And can they get the necessary progress across the board from all the young players that they need to make progress, namely all the guys on the defensive front 7? Can they cumulatively get guys like Patrick McConnell, Milton Mamula, Jacob McGoring, Eli Alford, Braden Deming? Can all those guys take the next step as they become upperclassmen? If they can, you're talking about one of the best fronts in the country. If they all just take mediocre steps, then you're talking about an above average but not ferocious front. The style of defense that they play, they need to have a ferocious front. And with Dante Olson moving on, I think it lies on a cumulative effort rather than replacing Dante Olson with one guy. Sac State, it's easy. Do you have a hangover from year 1 after winning the Big Sky Conference Championship? Can you replace Kevin Thompson after he left? Portland State, do you really believe in yourselves? Can you navigate one of the tougher schedules in the league? And are you ready? Are you ready to actually be a contender? Eastern Washington, it's a prove-it year for Aaron Best.
Yes, it is.
Eastern missed the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. The year that they didn't miss the playoffs, they went all the way to the national championship game. What is Aaron Best's style? What is their team? And is Eric Berry? I mean, Eric Berry looked like, oh my God, this guy's going to win the Peyton.
Yeah.
Down the stretch of his sophomore year. Last year, he led the country in passer efficiency through 28 touchdowns and only 4 picks. But teams learned how to keep him in the pocket, which really rendered much of what he does so well irrelevant, and they didn't make the playoffs. UC Davis was the 2018 Big Sky title. Was that a fluke, or is that where they're at? How have they recruited behind closed doors? Being in California, they don't get as much recruiting hype because all the California hype goes to all the Pac-12 and Mountain West schools. You have to think that they got guys waiting in the wings, but they also have to prove that they got guys waiting in the wings because after Jake Mayer and Keelan Doss, after that combo was gone, they've been pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
And then Cal Poly, what influence does Bo Baldwin have on the league straight up, and how do they make the transition away from the triple option? So of those question marks, though, which teams have the most pressing question marks?
Eastern Washington.
Absolutely.
They're the only. Your question about there's only two coaches that are in question. One is Cal Poly, but it's not because we wonder whether Bo Baldwin's a good coach. It's whether we want to know how long it will take him as a first-year head coach at Cal Poly to be the guy.
It's also worth noting that Bo Baldwin, he set the table for himself before he took his first head coaching job at Eastern Washington because he was the offensive coordinator, then took the 1 year away at Central Washington, and then comes back to Eastern. But he put the system in place, left for a year, and then came back to run the same system. They kept recruiting to his system.
Yeah.
So he had all the dudes in place.
Yeah, he's got there. I mean, there's just so much to do and to change for him to do what he wants to do at Cal Poly. So that's the question there. But in terms of what do we think of the head man, and is he a good coach? Look, are there questions about Dan Hawkins and whether he's a good football coach at UC Davis? I think there are, even though he has a great history in the game. He had one really high watermark, but we don't know exactly where he's at. But he has the history as a head coach where you kind of defer to him, and he has been good. You go, Portland State, where do we think that we are, in terms of the way that program navigates? And they have so many hurdles to get through. You can't sit here and go, oh, well, their coaching is subpar, because there's so very much more. The fact that they even have a team is maybe a huge testament to the leadership that they have. Eastern Washington is the one team where you sit here and go, man, I don't know if their coach is good or not. In terms of what the direction that team has gone. He goes to the national championship first year, and by the way, deserves a lot of credit for that because he put his thumbprint on that team the first year that he was there.
He does. Yeah.
They also had a ton of talent, and they have gone down, down, down since that time, incrementally.
Well, and the two teams in the league for pretty much a 15 to 16 year span, when you watched them warm up, you're like, man, this team has like half a dozen to 10 guys that are just straight up better than everybody. Yeah. The two teams were Eastern Washington and Montana. And last year, watching Eastern Washington warm up, I kept thinking to myself, it's only been a year since they went to the national championship. Granted, they had 28 seniors on that team.
Yes, they did.
But I was looking out there and I was thinking, man, they got a bunch of good Big Sky receivers. It used to be they got 3-4 dudes where you're like, what round is that guy getting drafted in?
Right.
I mean, when you used to watch Nick Edwards, who's now the offensive coordinator at Cal Poly, former Eastern Washington receiver, when he was the receivers coach at Eastern, you'd go watch those receiver drills. You're sitting there thinking, not only is Cooper Kupp the best player I've ever seen at this level, but if Cooper Kupp didn't exist, I might say the exact same thing about Kendrick Bourne, and I might say the exact same thing about Shaq Hill.
Right.
And they just have guys that are like pretty good, but not what they once were. So I think I agree with you. I think that those are very adequate. One last big question, because I think that the question marks surrounding both the Cats and the Grizz coming into last season, I think were much more striking than they are coming into this season. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I think that Weber State's question marks are just normal. They're not striking whatsoever. It's just normal for college football. And I think that, Sac State's, I think that Troy Taylor will figure it out. One other team, though, because I think that we talked about.
Did you say Montana State and Montana is more striking?
No.
Now I'm lost and confused.
I think that Montana and Montana State both don't have that. I think their question marks are normal.
Yes. Okay.
I think they're fine.
Agree.
I think the top. Yes. I think the top three all have pretty normal questions.
That's what I was trying to. ascertain that they're not greater than normal questions.
No.
The Cats, the Grizz, or for Weber State. Yes, I agree. Okay, we're on the same page.
The one last team, though, because we talked about how this league is determined more by the middle than it is by the top, because who in the middle can beat the teams from the top, that's what's going to determine the league race and the playoff seeding. The one team that I think we talked about that maybe the middle of the league is, the Portland State, Eastern Washington, UC Davis, and Cal Poly quartet. And then everybody else is pretty much bad, except for the one team that I have the biggest question mark about is Idaho.
Right.
Mason Petrino has graduated. His father Paul Petrino can no longer play his son at quarterback and have that be this overwhelming, egregious, crazy storyline like it has been for 3 years. Colton Richardson, the big boy who played in place of Petrino for 2 weeks last year when Petrino was hurt, has left the program at least for now. So they're going to have a brand new quarterback.
Yep.
It's easy to forget, but when Idaho had a good quarterback in Matt Linehan, they won 9 games in the FBS and they won a bowl game.
The thing that I am interested in is we are now, with the graduation of Mason Petrino and that group of seniors,
right,
we have hit the cycle where all of the starters are going to be playing as FCS recruits, right? What we've had for the last couple of seasons is a bunch of guys who got recruited to play FBS football, and then the school dropped down, and so they obviously had to make some decisions when you talk about the loss of scholarships that you get when you go down the level, but in terms of the talent and where they were getting guys from, I mean, you're not recruiting Arkansas and Louisiana to Idaho, except in virtue of the fact that you're playing in the Sun Belt. So it's a known territory. And you can tell these kids who didn't get picked up by the Ragin' Cajuns, hey, come up here, prove them wrong, and do all that. Now you don't have that. Now your footprint is more geographical. That's true. But also, what is the level of talent? Because you said before that the level of talent has not been in question, and the personnel that Idaho has had has not been a problem for, since they've been back in the Big Sky, and you're absolutely right. Will it become one, though, if now that the recruiting is going to kind of cycle through and be the FCS kids that were coming through, and where are we at with that? And again, that's why they're the biggest wild card in the league.
To be successful in rural states in the Big Sky Conference, you got to find it. There's two formulas that have been tried and true during the 21st century. It's either finding a bunch of kids who dreamed of playing for your program and will run through a brick wall and sell completely out for your program. That's what Montana State has. Or you take the Eastern Washington model and you recruit a whole bunch of dudes who have a rational confidence that think they could have played in the FBS, that are so mad that they didn't get to play in the FBS, that you get all the dudes who dreamed and hoped to play at Washington State that then come to play at Eastern Washington. That's what you get. Those are the two pretty much tried and true formulas for the Big Sky Conference. Idaho has to figure out a way to embrace one of those two because they're in the similar region, similar situation.
They have to embrace we always wanted to be a Vandal. We wanted to play at Idaho model.
Right.
That's the one. They have a history and a still group of boosters / fans / people who went to school there, who played there, who have great memories of that place. And you want to talk about a just catastrophe from an athletic department standpoint. It is Idaho. I mean, the president's out, the AD's out. It's been the head men's basketball coach has been fired. Everything is going completely sideways and has been for years. And then they're the first, program in the history of college football to hold the ignominious title of had to drop down from FBS to FCS.
No doubt.
So now here they are.
Yep.
Can they put their feet in the ground, stop the sliding down the mountain that's happening, and start to work their way back up? I don't know.
They got to redefine their recruiting strategy. They have to dig their heels in and try to get. Idaho has good high school football.
Yes.
Utah has great high school football. You got to go find those dudes who are not getting recruited by BYU. That's the thing. The Utah schools have been just robbing Idaho of everything that Boise State doesn't take. Idaho has to figure out a way to get into that little mix.
It's Tootell, Nuanez 102.9 ESPN Radio. It is our ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls. One last thing on your question marks, Coulter, and then you can have free reign to do some of the personnel stuff.
Okay.
you already highlighted that we disagree on this in general, and so I'm going to disagree with you on the Montana State question marks. The secondary, fine, absolutely true. The pressure of the next step, I don't believe in it.
You don't?
So, no, I don't.
You think the culture is strong enough?
I think the culture is strong enough, and I also think that, I mean, if you are thinking about, hey, are we going to be able to get to the national championship while you're getting training camp in August? Like, you can have those thoughts as individuals. Certainly you should. But you got to win the first game that you play. You got to have a good practice today. Coaches preach this all the time.
Yeah.
And I just think we have the luxury to sit here and look at the big picture. And we've seen the rise and now maybe not a plateau, but a Final Four. It's hard to go better than a Final Four for this program. But I don't think the kids view it like that. No. The kids that are there now weren't even here when Jeff Choate was hired. They're going, yeah, this is what we do. Totally. We got to go whoop somebody.
That is what culture and expectation is, too, is having national championship expectations.
That's right.
And what's the biggest disease of college football, particularly at the FCS level?
Me?
Apathy.
Well,
ever becoming complacent, ever thinking that because we were good last year, we're going to be good this year.
Because
that's what happened to UC Davis last year. Yep. But I mean, I know you love Hawk, but the whole we don't worry about results. We just try to be our best selves every day. Okay, that's fine, but the teams that go to the Final Four, the teams that win the national championship, it's not about just being your best self every day. It's about winning every single freaking day to be the best in the country. That's what North Dakota State does. That's what Montana State are trying to do.
So I'm replacing your question about pressure for the, of taking the next step for Montana State with the only question that it still has yet to be answered.
Quarterback.
That's it. It's the same, because it's the same quarterback the same question doesn't mean it's still not the glaring question for the Montana State Buckeyes.
What does it say about the stability of Montana State's program that we just went through 4 different question marks and none of them were Troy Anderson?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, their best player is not going to play this year, and we didn't even talk about that until we've been talking about the Big Sky.
By the way, he's not their best player.
He's the best player.
He's the best player. Go ahead. All right, what else you got?
Okay, let's go all league list, rapid fire here.
Okay.
Who'd you have as your offensive player of the year?
I'm doing this despite myself, but I think it's the position and it's the talent. I'm taking Eric Barrier. He is going to be he's my preseason player of the year. I had actually written down Sammy Akem, and I realized Sammy Akem and Samari Torrey. Samari Torrey was, ended up with the better season, but Akem was hurt. I think that's going to be a race unto itself. I think a couple of running backs, Elijah Dotson and Isaiah Fonte, have really good cause to be in that conversation as well, but I will take Eric Barrier.
I think that's who's going to win it. Or I shouldn't say win. It's not actually an award, but I think that's who will get the nod is Barrier, but I voted for Samari Torrey.
Okay. Over Sammy Akem.
I did, just because of previous production.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think it gets I know it got a lot. The Randy Moss record-breaking performance that Samari had last year against Southeastern Louisiana got a ton of run. Where that single season, though, fits into the scope of Big Sky Conference history, didn't get enough run. I think he had the 4th most yards in the history of the league. He broke Mark Mariani's single-season record.
No doubt. I just want to see how he stacked up, what it was like when he and Sammy Akem were both on the field together. Like, this is the other reason I would have picked either of those players over Eric Barrier if they were alone on the team.
Sure.
But together, it splits up some looks.
No doubt. Defensive player of the year.
I don't feel like enough good knowledge of returning defensive players to make a great pick here, but he was the number 5 leading tackler in the conference a year ago, and so I'm just going to take Jace Lewis. Like, if you take a Montana linebacker, you're probably pretty safe that you're going to have one of the best players in his most productive players anyway in the Big Sky Conference. I don't know of anybody else who's just going to come in and be a world beater, and certainly if he stays healthy, he's going to rack up huge statistics. So I'll just take Jace Lewis.
I think that's who's going to get the nod.
Yeah.
I think it's justifiable. I mean, 131 tackles a year ago, 12 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. The production's absolutely there. He's going to be even more he's going to be even more a focal point of the defense, given that Dante Olson moves on. That said, the two reasons I did not pick Jace Lewis is because I think that Montana will have a little bit more of a diverse scheme,
more spread out
in terms of who's making plays.
Right.
Because they were trying to mitigate weaknesses while getting young guys reps up front because they knew they had a dude who literally could make every tackle.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to actually do that because the other thing is that I think Jace Lewis is an awesome player. I'm so excited to watch and also a little bit skeptical to see. I don't know. The inside linebackers positions at Montana, although they filter everything towards each of them, and they're going to each make a ton of tackles. I mean, it's a 125 tackle bare minimum position. That's just what you're going to get playing that spot if you play every game. I don't know if Jace Lewis can take an extra 50 tackles on his frame. He's pretty small.
He's not as big as Dante.
The other thing is that
a lot of guys really.
The other thing is though that even though Jace Lewis was the 5th leading tackler in the entire league. And one of the leading tacklers in the country, he still was not a quote-unquote every down player. He played most of the snaps, but he still rotated in and out a lot with Marcus Wellnell. The year before, it was with Josh Buss.
Right.
And so I'm interested to see if he can fully handle the load. I know this is going to be a controversial pick, especially amongst a lot of our listeners, but I picked Amandre Williams from Montana State. He was a second-team All-League guy a year ago, but I think that Montana State has run this odd man front for the duration of Jeff Choate's tenure. I think they got it locked in at an even higher level. Even though Ty Gregorek did a great job, I think Kane Ione and the knowledge he brought from the University of Washington, particularly from Pete Kukowski and Jimmy Lake, they're operating the scheme at a higher level. But Bryce Stirk, although he's built like a buck end, was never a buck end, and he produced great numbers at that spot for 2 years. But then when he moved over to the strong end spot, he was, I thought, should have been an All-American last year. I thought he got snubbed in the All-Big Sky stuff, which then negated his All-American candidacy. But he led the league in sacks last year. He had 20 tackles for loss. He was better at that spot, and that was because Amandre Williams is actually a true buck. He can cover the curl to flat. He can, jam the slot receiver. He can make plays in space. He's not just a hand-in-the-dirt guy, get-after-it guy. He's a true hybrid outside linebacker defensive end. He had 17 tackles for loss a year ago as a sort of non-focal point on their defense. With no Troy Anderson to eat up a bunch of tackles for loss, with no Derek Marks, with no Bryce Stirk, all the guys up front, they've done a great job recruiting, so I do think they'll be able to reload in the front seven, but their primary and I think almost exclusive playmaker in the front seven is going to be Amandre Williams.
Yeah. Okay, very good. There is more of this to go through, and we will do it later on today, next couple of days, and do it. But we'll leave this here for now. It's our ESPN Roundtable. It is presented by Paradise Falls. Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street on the south end of town, near the corner of Reserve and Brooks. And Coulter, it was a warm one yesterday. I was trying to figure out what to do with the family. What are we going to do? Where are we going to eat? We decided, let's go over to Paradise Falls and sit down on the patio. Man, it was as good as it gets. They got the covers up, so the sun isn't directly on you, and they got the misters going. I mean, now it's not over your table, your food's not getting wet, but it's just around. It's keeping the general atmosphere nice and cool. The kids, walk around, sitting, putting their heads in it. It's hard to go out for dinner as a family, especially now, right? You don't really want to sit inside with the kids, especially touching everything and all that kind of stuff. But let's go sit outside. It was perfect, and I appreciated that evening at Paradise Falls last night very much. I encourage you to try it. I think you'll enjoy it as well.
Paradise Falls, like you said, great space. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner whenever you're in the mood for. This time of year, early and late happy hours, great place to go hit up between 3 and 6 and 9 and 11, Monday through Thursday for the late happy hour and Monday through Saturday for the standard happy hour. You can go sit on the back deck. You're going to get $3 draft beers, half-price cocktails, half-price appetizers, and the full menu open from 7 a.m. until midnight, 3621 Brook Street in Missoula, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club. Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin is a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano. But he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024. Or check out search406.com.
Hey there, Colter Nuanez from Tootell Nuanez. I'm here with Tom from Aspen Sound. And Tom, it's almost boat season. Tell people, how do they get their boat all ready to roll with you guys for the summer?
Colter, I appreciate it, my man. We're in full swing now. Boats are starting to rock out, and we're seeing a lot of ATVs come through. Window tinting is going full force, so make sure you get in while we still have some slots open.
Aspen Sound, located at 1300 West Broadway in Missoula.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
Nothing says summer like a cool Montana microbrew. The Montana Club proudly serves regional Montana-made brews for your sipping pleasure. If you're in the mood for a cocktail, try one of our 20 specialty martinis. Come in from 3 to 5:30 for the club's BOGO Happy Hour and special $5 appetizers. Or swing by on Friday for Montini Night and $6 top shelf martinis. Make the Montana Club part of your summer fun. Clean, safe, and local. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Alpine Touch makes the perfect gift this summer or any time of year. If you are traveling, bring a gift that is distinctly Montana and gift your loved ones some of the best spices anywhere around. From the Alpine Touch Pick 4 Spice Pack to the All-Purpose Twin Pack to the mouth-watering sunflower shoots to Alpine Touch gift cards. Alpine Touch makes the perfect Montana present. Available at retail locations around the state or online for a limited time. Use the code ESPN10 at checkout to get 10% off any online order. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice. The second annual Smoke on the Water Cigar Celebration is hosting Fire in the Hole, a golf tournament and fundraiser July 25th at the Linda Vista Golf Club in Missoula. This one-day event is perfect for those who like to live life to the fullest. A 4-person golf scramble, prizes on every hole, live music, food, drinks, and cigars. You will not want to miss this event. Get your tickets now at cigarsonthewater.com before they sell out. See you on the course. Partial proceeds to benefit the Western Montana Shrine Club.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colter Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. There was a whole bunch of activity in terms of recruiting across the state of Montana Tuesday and today. The University of Montana men's basketball team officially received word its newest point guard is eligible. The Grizz football team got a couple of commits, as did the MSU football team. And the Montana State women's basketball team, they got an additional commit to the class of 2021.
Brisbane's basketball team officially received word from the NCAA that Cam Parker, the former Sacred Heart record-setting point guard, will be eligible this next basketball season. Parker set a single-game NCAA record with 24 assists last season, and he told Jeff Goodman yesterday that the NCAA had approved his waiver, meaning he will be eligible immediately and have 2 seasons left to play.
The Grizz football team officially got clearance for former Arizona defensive end Justin Belknap, who started nearly 24 games over the last 3 seasons for the Wildcat. He was cleared to play along with Louisville quarterback Justin Ford. That's cornerback, people.
The MSU women's basketball team received a verbal commitment from Maya Hughes, a 5'11 forward out of Woodinville, Washington. She's currently ranked as the number 3 player in the Evergreen State.
And finally, Montana State's football team earned a couple verbal commitments from Phoenix area prospects. Wide receiver Andrew Patterson of Desert Edge High and Aaron Garrow, a 6'2", 255-pound defensive end from Greenway High. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center brought to you by Aaron Pignano of Exit Realty. I failed to tell you that we're going to do a Wing It Wednesday, so you should call 361-3688, 361-3688, the phone number. All guests join us via the Rangish Brothers RV phone line. Call us. We got wings for you to the Desperado Sports Tavern. Best wings in Missoula. Colter's got some questions. 361-3688, the phone number, for a little bit of trivia and a little bit of fun. If you'd like to listen live, you can stream the show all the time, 1029ESPN.com. You go there on the website, and your device, computer, etc., and you stream the show all the time thanks to Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. I've been listening to more Tom Petty than I've listened to in my whole life.
Why is that? Because you're running down a dream?
Well, I ran down the dream a long time ago, and now I'm trying to figure out what's next. Hopefully it's not a nightmare. But
you'll guess
what?
Your life is never going to be a nightmare.
It will not be. You're right. I am living a very fortunate existence. Yes, I am. I don't know. I've always liked Tom Petty. It's not like I just discovered Tom Petty. I've known who Tom Petty's. Everybody knows Tom Petty is.
Right.
But for some reason, and this wasn't inspired by his passing, where it's like, all of a sudden you go back and you rekindle all the songs. I just started listening to it, and I was like, I mean, an Americana rock storytelling guy. I mean, it's just everything. It's Tom Petty. He does it.
It's among the most timeless music that there ever has been.
Yes.
Because even guys like Bruce Springsteen, great songwriter, but Bruce Springsteen's songs from the 70s sound like songs from the 70s.
Right.
Bruce Springsteen's songs from the 80s sounds like songs from the 80s.
Right.
Prince, it's 80s music.
Yeah.
But there's very few. I can't even really think of anybody off the top of my head that sounds so unlike an era and just so much like themselves.
Timeless. It's just timeless.
Eric Clapton, maybe?
Pearl Jam, to some extent, does that.
Yeah, but the Pearl Jam roots are so...
I mean, I get it. It's
they're so embedded in...
Yeah, okay, but that's fine.
In grunge, right?
Yeah. But anyway, there you go. Shout out Tom Petty. Rest in peace. Let's go to the Rangish Brother RV phone line.
Gabriel.
Let's welcome in Gabriel to the show for a Wigan Wednesday. Hello, Gabriel. How are you?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Well, Gabriel, I'm doing pretty well, man. I'm listening to Tom Petty. I'm feeling very good. How are you?
Just driving home from work after a long, warm day in my warehouse.
Oh, man. Did
finally
you
here.
Any AC in the warehouse?
The warehouse, no, man. Just the office. So I find myself doing more and more paperwork.
Oh, yeah, I would think so. This is a good day to get some taxes knocked out or something like that. I mean, gracious mercy, being in the warehouse, the tin can thing out there, just excruciating layer. Let's see what we can do to help you out, my friend. We got 3 questions for you. If you get 2 of them right, you're going to refresh yourself in the air-conditioned Desperado over a basket of the best wings in town. Okay, does that sound all right?
They are the best wings.
They are.
That sounds very good.
If you get all 3, you got yourself a shirt. If you need help on one of these, I am your lifeline. So here we go.
Sounds good.
Some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tell me likey. Tell me want wingy.
All right, Coulter, refresh for us for Gabriel. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about the last 20 years of the FBS national championships.
Okay.
We're talking about national championship winning. We're talking about national championship winning college teams.
Okay.
So number 1, of the last 20 national champions, so this is stemming back to 2000, so 2000 through 2019. Of the last 20, only 5 national championships have been won by teams that are not in the South. Of those 5, only 3 schools have captured national championships in the last 20 years that are not from the South. Okay. Name 1 school not from the South to win a national championship over the last 20 years.
That's a tough one. The last 20.
What do you think? Anything coming to mind over there?
No, because it's so South-dominated.
It is South-dominated. I mean, it clearly is South-dominated. 15 out of 20 from Southern teams.
15 out of 20, including every single one since 2007.
Now, if you want to use a lifeline, there's only 3 questions. You know what I mean? So you can do that if you want.
I'm not going to get this. Well, I'm trying to think in a different. I'm not going to get this one. I'm going to use my lifeline.
All right, let's go. I believe Ohio State won a national championship when it was the BCS, right, national championship. In fact, they may have won. I mean, Urban Meyer won there, and they may have won even another. Maybe won 2 there. But I would go with the Ohio State Buckeyes for sure.
Gabriel, are you willing to
they should have come to mind. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That's an obvious one.
Ohio State, 2014 and 2002. One under Urban Meyer, one under Jim Tressel. Ohio State, one of the schools to win.
Was that the Willis McGahee Willis McGahee played for Miami in the game that Ohio State won with?
No, Ohio State won the year before.
Oh, was it before that?
And then 2003, Miami won. That actually was one of the only non-SEC championships.
Right.
For a Southern team.
Right.
So tell me this. So there are two schools.
Hold on. Save them. Save the other two.
We'll save them.
All right. Here we go. Question number 2.
I have a question for. I have a question for you though, real quick.
Okay.
While you're ruminating over guessing the other ones, is Texas a Southern school or not?
I mean,
I did not count them as a Southern school because they're in Texas. It's just its own region, but that is one of the schools. So you have,
it's Southern.
You'll be able to guess the other two though right after this. Okay. Gabriel, number 2. You got one. No lifelines left, so you just need to get one of the next two on your own. Okay, number 2. How many of the last 20 national titles has Nick Saban, the head coach at Alabama, currently former head coach of LSU, how many national titles has Nick Saban led his teams to over the last 20 years?
I want to say he has 5 championships, but I think he's lost at least one of those. Maybe a couple.
So you're thinking like in the 6 or 7 range?
I'm thinking 6 or 7 range, somewhere right in there. I'm going to go 7.
What is it, Coulter?
Nick Saban has 6 national titles. 5 at Alabama, 1 at LSU. He's also lost in 2 national title games.
So 9 total.
9 total national championship game appearances.
No. 8 total, excuse me.
Yeah, 8 total appearances, but I was just looking for the number of championships.
Total wins?
So
6? Okay. Then you threw the one from LSU.
Total wins. I thought it was just how many. Oh, I got titles did he? Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's go. Question number 3. Let's see where we're at here.
Okay, number 3. Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney at Clemson, and Urban Meyer at Ohio State and Florida have captured exactly half of the last 20 national titles. Give me a coach that isn't one of those 3 men that has led his team to the national championship over the last 20 years.
Man,
I think I obviously called in on the wrong.
You guys got this if you think about it.
There's no question that these are knowable answers. It's a good question. It's a good trivia question.
It's a very good question. I'm just not coming up with anything right now.
First of all, Jim,
can you give me those list of coaches again?
So Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Urban Meyer. That's half the national championships in the last 20 years.
Jim Tressel won one, right? That's because we already talked about this here, Gabriel. That's one in 2001 or
2002. Yep.
Okay. So that's your answer. There you go. A lifeline because we already discussed it. Gabriel, excellent work. Way to come up with the vest on that one. Sure. Okay, proud of you. Give your information to Reese, my man. Wings are coming your way. Well done. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the lifelines, man. I couldn't obviously couldn't have done without you, buddy.
You're. Hey, listen. It's been a long day in the heat. Okay, I'm the one who's sitting here like I'm in a salon working. Okay, so I'm doing okay. Hey, appreciate it, Gabriel. Hook this guy up, Reese. All right. Who was the Miami head coach? That's who I've got in my head.
Butch Davis.
No,
I'm pretty sure it was Butch Davis.
I mean, I'm not saying but Butch Davis was around. He coached at like North Carolina too.
Since then, yeah.
But that's not who I'm thinking of, though. That's not the person I got in my head. Who was the head
Larry
coach?
Coker, excuse me. Butch Davis lost in the 2000 national championship, and then Larry Coker led the 2001 Canes.
Larry Coker won in that McGahee. Maurice Claret was the Ohio State.
How much does a coach matter? You go from Howard Schellenberger to Jimmy Johnson to Dennis Erickson to Butch Davis to Larry Coker. Fire.
Yep.
Then you go Randy Shannon, Jeff Stoutland, Al Golden, Larry Scott, Mark Richt, and Manny Diaz. Wonder why Miami fell off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mark Richt had it going for a second, but what? Okay, so I'm looking for 2 more northern schools.
There's not really even northern. One's West Coast and one's
So USC. Okay.
USC won 2.
I was thinking the wrong direction.
Yeah, USC won 2. And then who's the only
Oregon? No,
the only Big 12 team other than Texas to win a national championship in the last 20 years.
Man, Big 12 team.
It was 20 years ago.
I mean, it's not Nebraska.
It is not Nebraska.
They were in the Big 12.
It is
at that time.
It's the best team in the Big 12 currently.
I don't know. I'm all Iowa. No,
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
2000
Sooners, right?
Okay. Can you name any of the other coaches?
Man.
So you got Jim Tressel.
Yeah.
Right.
Did Barry?
You got Larry Coker.
Barry Switzer was too early.
No, Barry Switzer's too early. Who was the head coach of the 2000 Oklahoma Sooners? You know.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Bob Stoops.
He's retired.
Okay. Rather than have you rack your brain, I'm just going to rapid fire through these, okay?
Yeah.
Who was the head coach?
Pete Carroll, right?
Who was the head coach of the 2005 Texas Longhorns?
Mac Brown.
Mac Brown. Pete Carroll, you're right.
Yeah.
Back-to-back national titles, 03, 04.
Yeah.
Who was the head coach for the Florida Gators in 2006, 2008?
Oh, man.
Urban Meyer. That's part of the question.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then the last two that you're missing.
No, it's not. You said Urban Meyer's out. You said Urban Meyer.
Right, he is out.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you were just saying that as a matter of fact?
Yeah, yes, just testing you.
Okay.
Who was the head coach for Auburn in 2010?
Different guy than that's there now, right?
Indeed.
I don't recall.
Gus Malzahn.
Oh, Gus Malzahn is there.
Oh, he's still there?
Yeah. Okay.
And who was the head coach for Florida State in 2013?
Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher.
Okay.
Amazing. Among the coaching moves that have been motivated by money, which they're all motivated by money, but the one that is so perplexing is that Jimbo Fisher won a national championship at Florida State and then left. And I know that the draw was the SEC and Texas A&M and the facilities and the amount of money they were going to pay him, the stability he was granted with that long contract. It's still crazy because in no world is Texas A&M on par with Florida State except for the checkbook.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I've never been to either College Station or Tallahassee. I've been through Tallahassee, but I've never been to, Florida State. Certainly the history of football at Florida State is, and it's not even close, even though they play in the ACC. But at some level, I would think that would be a draw. I don't know, seems like there's more going on, obviously, the financial side of it than others. All right, it's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Quick break, come back. How about baseball?
Blaine McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin is a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano. But he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024. Or check out search406.com. Yes, Polaris is open. The great outdoors are wide open. So why not make the most of it during the Polaris Summer Sales event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful sports utility machines. Kick up some dust in a Razor, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. There's never been a better time to say yes to outdoor adventure. Enjoy rebates up to $1,000 on the off-road's best during the Polaris Summer Sales event at Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz has all the best in off-roading with dirt bikes and side-by-sides, and now Kurtz has Crest pontoon boats in stock for the season. Summer is here at Kurtz Polaris, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offers valid in U.S. on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Offer vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
After After a long couple of months, it's finally feeling like we're getting back to business as usual. But it's not the usual at all. At Missoula's Wingate, we are, as always, committed to giving you a relaxing stay at a great value. But we're also balancing the new guidelines like maximum pool occupancies and increased disinfecting to protect your health with a never-ending pledge to make you feel at home when you're not. If you find yourself on the road in the Missoula area, please consider staying with us at Missoula's Wingate.
The sports memorabilia and trading card industry is heating up because of an increased demand, a global market, and reinvigorated collection and collectors. Specialty trading cards have never been more popular. Whether you are interested in checking out some of the hottest items on the market or perusing through a catalog of some of your favorite vintage players, Zootown Sports Cards offers the most elite options in all of Western Montana. Start your collection or bolster it today by stopping into Zootown Sports Cards at the corner of Higgins and South in Missoula.
If it matters to Missoula, it matters to us. Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
There's no one like you. I can't wait for the nights with you.
Welcome back. Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Hope you're well. Glad to be with you on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Colter riding off into the proverbial weekend sunset early here. Going to go play some games tomorrow. I'm proud of you. Enjoy that. Anyway, I will be back with you tomorrow and Friday, and we will be just fine one way or another. If you missed anything in the show, check it out in the podcast, the Tootell and Nuanez podcast. The podcast is available all the time on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Rate, review, subscribe. It is there thanks to Blackfoot and Alpine Touch. Colter, your last minute and a half here. You wanted to talk a little bit of baseball. I'm glad that's the last thing we're going to speak about because you've been so salty about this thing. Not even salty. You've just been so emotional, which is disappointing. But you said, hey, man, the baseball season, like the start of it's critical. And if you have like a 5-game winning streak, that's like winning 15 in a row.
That's right. I mean, it's not quite 1/3 of the games that are normally played in a 162-game season. So essentially, each game is
it's more than 1/3, but just slightly over 1/3.
Right. So basically, a win is worth 3 wins, and a loss is worth 3 losses. If you sweep say you have 2 home sets in a row, 2 3-game home sets in a row, and you take care of business.
Yep.
You sweep them. You are off and running. You already in 6 games have an inside track on the playoffs. I'm also so interested to see, one factor we haven't talked about is guys, we assume that every single one of these guys wants to play. I do think that the majority of guys want to play. But what happens if you get swept 2 weekends in a row,
right,
and now you're 0-6, so you're basically already like 15 to 18 games out. I don't know how many guys will maybe want to go home to their families, get on the IR. I just think that we could have the races accelerate really quickly on both sides.
They will. I think it's going to be fun in that respect for this season. I think the guys want to play, though. It's a short season. I mean, why not? Plus, it's the only way you get paid. It's important. Boys and girls, have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Tootell and Nuanez.
Garden City Paint and Glass is ready to help you with your summer home improvement projects. Their trained staff can help you with your painting and staining projects, setting you up with the right colors and the right brushes, rollers and painting preparation, and they can even color match and custom tint. Garden City Paint and Glass sells only the highest quality paints and stains, so your project comes out right. Visit Garden City Paint and Glass for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Missoula for over 30 years.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
We've missed short drives to see friends, long drives to see family. We've missed road trips, car camping, heck, we've even missed commuting. We're grateful to be getting back on the road, and Les Schwab wants to help you drive safe, just like we always have. To help get you rolling again safely, we're happy to offer up to $110 off a set of 4 select tires. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Limited time offer while supplies last. Actual discount amount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire